It's my birthday! Come celebrate with me! Hey everyone, it is truly my birthday, and to celebrate I had asked all of you if you had any questions for me so that we can do this kind of question and answer segment to celebrate my birthday. So without further ado, let's get to it. On an unrelated note, I just got new glasses and I'm so happy to have them because now I can see. And little fun fact about me that I have really bad vision. Like, it's so bad, even the optometrists will kind of comment on how bad it is. And you know Velma from Scooby-Doo, how she can't see without her glasses? That's how I literally am. So in all of the like movies and TV shows and even in books where there are characters that are like scrambling trying to find their glasses or their contact, I sympathize with that completely, and I can tell you firsthand that it can happen, and it happens to me. All right, question 1. How many goats do you have? So for those of you who don't know, yes, I do have goats. I have 3 goats, and their names are Bullet, Buckshot, and Wesson. And I love goats so much. I think it's one of my favorite pets, if I am allowed to say that, because they are just so fun to have around. They do all kinds of crazy things, and their personality and their temperament, I like to say it's almost like if you had a dog and a cat and a deer all in one creature. That's kind of what it's like having a goat. So you can only imagine the kind of craziness and fun that they are. Yeah, they definitely keep a lot of excitement. And if it wasn't for kind of how they're a little wild, I would totally have them in the house, but my God, that would be a disaster. Question number 2, if there's one job you could do besides being an author, what would it be? I like this question a lot. So, as many of you know, I am really into sci-fi and fantasy, and so part of me, the deepest part of my heart, believes or wants to believe that in an alternate universe, I am a neuroscientist. I love learning all about neuroscience. I love kind of examining why the brain works certain ways, how it works, and just trying to tap into kind of how the brain chemistry works with kind of like feelings and attitudes and behavior. And so anything that's along those topics, I definitely am interested in, and I know that's the nerd in me coming out, but yes, I would love to be a neuroscientist. Question number 3. How do you keep a guy from never saying no to you? I don't know the context of this question, so I'm just gonna go with it. So here we go. What I can say is that no matter who you are involved with in life, you cannot control their actions. You can't. You may want to and sometimes feel that you can, but you can't. And what you can control is how you react to their action. I'm Len, and that's my TED Talk. Question number 4. Where did you get that magical tea steeper from your tea video? The magical tea steeper. Once upon a time, there used to be a shop called Tavana, and they partnered with Starbucks, and you can still get their tea, but they closed down all of their stores, which is awful. Like, rest in peace, Tavana, because that is actually where I got this magical steeper from. However, I will let you know that you can find steepers that are very similar to it online, but one of the places that I can recommend to you is David's Tea, and I will put a link in the description box below to them, because not only do they have these steepers, but they have amazing mugs. They have a phenomenal amount of all different kinds of tea, and you should definitely check them out because that's a main source of where I get my tea now. Question number 5. How do you start drafting, and what do your outlines look like? Well, if you have watched any of my videos on kind of my writing style and then also my habits, you'll find that I am like an uber super duper outliner. So I start out when I have an idea, and we're talking like just a basic idea, then I'll start to kind of make an outline for just taking, okay, here's a character that I want to write about, and then I just try to put like little bullet points of like, what do I think is going to happen? And from there, I'll expand on kind of seeing, okay, well, what are their motivations and what are the stakes associated with that? What kind of world am I going to put this story in? And so from there, it will get into more bullet points. Then I'll go through and I'll actually make it into more of like a regular outline. I know it sounds kind of boring with like Roman numerals and other bullet points and all that, but I found that at this point, that's what helps me the most. I wish I could give you a better answer as like, oh, I follow this method. That's just kind of from my note-taking from school and everything. That's kind of where I've just fallen into. But it really helps me to get an overall general idea of what the story is going to be. From there, I have developed the desire and also kind of the reliance at times to do the same thing, but for each chapter. And I'm one of those where I will already have the ending figured out and I kind of like backstep to the beginning. But I've also had times where I've been in the middle and then I'm able to like go to the beginning and at the ending. And I highly recommend that if you're against outlining, just try writing down your ideas as you're brainstorming, and then you can see how you could piece them together. Question number 6, do you read in the genre and point of view that your current work in progress is in? Yes, I have identified that my comfort zone is third person limited. Sometimes it's third person omniscient, but I'm really trying to avoid that and make it more third person limited with the main character. I have experimented with doing first person and I just feel like I can't do it, but I'm being kind of coached by some people in my corner that I need to get out of my comfort zone and actually write a novel that's all in first person. And as much as I'm kind of scared to do that, I might be doing that with like my next idea. So we'll kind of see how that goes. Question number 7, what brand of hair dye do you use? I came prepared. So for the purple that right now looks very pink because I haven't done it in like months, I use this stuff right here. Hopefully you can see it. It's called Arctic Fox, and I'll go ahead and put a link in the description box below for them, but this stuff is amazing. So what I like about it is it's almost like a super pigmented conditioner. It actually conditions your hair. So when you're like leaving it in, it makes it so that it's conditioning your hair. And I am very thankful that I have blonde hair, so I don't have to go through the whole bleaching process. But if you really want that vibrant color and you have darker hair, then it's recommended that you do a bleach to just get to a lighter point. There are people that put it on darker hair, but this stuff is great. It is vegan friendly, which is awesome. And it also lasts a really long time. I mean, as you can see, this is me not even trying to wash this out or even being very careful not to wash it out. The other thing that's really nice too is it doesn't stain your fingers and your shower. Like, you'll be fine because it's seriously like a conditioner. So I freaking love this stuff. Question number 8. What's one thing you've learned about how authors can succeed in the modern publishing landscape from interning at Theaver Publishing? One thing that I have learned the more and more that I have read queries and then, full manuscripts is the importance of finding your voice as a writer. And that's something that's so hard to convey to people, like when you try to pinpoint exactly what is voice, what makes a great voice. It's really this kind of gray matter because there's so much subjectivity to it. And I will be doing a video on this in the future about how I found my writing voice, but I'll kind of just give you the gist of finding your voice is a lot like trying to identify, okay, like in the music industry that you are in this genre of music and you have this kind of voice. This is what you excel at. And so somebody who may be a singer that, you know, maybe they're trying to get into like country, but their voice is better suited to like doing R&B music. Whatever it may be, there's kind of, you can see just in those singers how different their voice sounds. And writing is a lot of the same thing. You'll find that within certain genres, there's a voice that readers can relate to in that genre, but then there are also some people that kind of break the rules, and when done right, it really makes the manuscript stand out. Question 9. What was the first book that you read that inspired you to write? So I can say that I was kind of writing little stories here and there, like ever since I was like in first grade, but there was this one book that stood out when I was in elementary school, and it was required reading, and up until I was like in 5th or 6th grade, I had a really hard time with required books to read, because the rebellious part of me just was like, I don't want anybody telling me what I have to read. That's such a sucky attitude to have. But part of the required reading list that I had to read included this book called The Giver by Lois Lowry, and it's a classic, but I remember reading that in 6th grade, and my whole viewpoint was changed. And I think it's because it's not a book I would have readily picked up on my own, but I was pleasantly surprised by it, and I found that I actually wanted to read the book as fast as possible so that I could do the book report on it, because I was enjoying it so much, about just these young kids who are trying to deal with the interesting society that they live in, which is unlike ours, but then them exploring how there is kind of an outside world, and that really resonated with me, and I hope to write a story that's that awesome one day. Question number 10. Which do you prefer more, science fiction or fantasy, and why? Oh God, this one's so hard. This is such a hard question. Okay. So, because the real like geeky nerdy side of me really wants to say like science fiction, but I think really deep down it's fantasy. And I think what the draw to fantasy is that there are so many elements in fantasy that you want to believe are real, and you can't explain all of the mechanics of it. So like take magic, for example. Like you want to believe that magic exists, but explaining how magic works, there's so much mystery that's integrated with it. And so I think that's what I kind of like. And I myself like to create stories where there are people that realize that there's something greater than themselves, or even like the people that they're around, that there's some kind of power or there's some kind of wisdom or something that's greater than their understanding. And I find that, you know, that's a very common theme in fantasy, and so I think that's why I'm more drawn to it. But man, is it really hard to like say that I love one more than the other, because I just really like science fiction and fantasy. So there are a few more things that you have learned about me, and I apologize if I haven't gotten to your question, but if you have a question for me or I didn't get to yours, go ahead and leave it in the comment section down below, and I will be sure to get to it. And if you guys have any other kind of just general ideas that you would love to see me do a video on, let me also know in the comment section below, and I will get on it. With that, I thank you guys so much for celebrating my birthday with me and sending me these questions and just watching this video. And I hope you guys have an excellent week. Until next video, bye!